Young Turks now has audio, the TYT Audio Network, podcasts of some of your favorite shows and new shows, including one with Nina Turner, former Ohio State Senator. She's going to do We the People with Nina Turner, talking about equality and justice and seeing that through the eyes of regular Americans who are affected by politics and policy. Everybody check it out at tyt.com/audio.
Iran has just announced that it plans to begin its uranium enrichment program at a particular plant that it had previously agreed to close down in the Iran nuclear deal. But there might be a silver lining in this story, so just stay with me for a second. According to reports, Iran will begin uranium enrichment at its Fordow plant and will install new nuclear equipment at the Natanz facility if it withdraws from a nuclear deal with major powers. Now, clearly the United States has already withdrawn from that nuclear deal. That was a huge story a few weeks ago. However, the other international players who have signed on to that deal are fighting pretty aggressively to keep the deal intact. Those countries include Russia, China, Germany, Britain, and France. Now, according to a spokesperson with the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, currently the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has ordered that the programs be carried out within the parameters of the nuclear deal. So far, even though they're announcing that they're going to be enriching their uranium, they're going to be doing it in the confines of this deal. What they're trying to message here is, we don't like what Trump did. There is a possibility that this entire deal will fall apart as a result of what Trump did. However, there's a possibility that we'll maintain this deal as long as the other powers that are involved work with us. So let's give you another statement. And when he, meaning the Ayatollah, when he gives the order, we will announce the programs for operating outside of the nuclear deal and reviewing this plant, or reviving this particular plant. Also, President Hassan Rouhani expressed delight with the stance adopted so far by European countries, including France, to preserve this joint comprehensive plan of action. So look, there's still hope for this nuclear deal, and maybe I'm being naive and feeling a little bit of this hope, but there are other countries that are fighting pretty aggressively to maintain it, and that's good news.
Yeah, it's a good consequence of the fact that this was a meticulously negotiated multilateral agreement over the course of a decade with all of those countries, and that's one thing that we have going for us. Of course, we do have to acknowledge that in yet another area, we have withdrawn our influence, our ability to try to, in some cases, make the world a better place. Thankfully, the countries that are stepping up into roles of leadership in the world will be able to do that. And I hope for, in terms of regional security and all of that Iran does stay within the deal. It seems unlikely, considering the sanctions that we're going to reimpose on them. And even inside of the deal, by the way, so they talk about resuming enrichment. You can enrich uranium, just not up to a certain level. I think it's something like 3.69% or something like that. So they can do it within those confines. It's just once they try to produce highly enriched uranium that would be weapons grade, that becomes a gigantic problem and obviously violates the deal. But with the prospect of that possibility on the horizon, it is amazing that Donald Trump, in perhaps amongst all of the Orwellian things that he has done, there has been nothing more Orwellian than, we are going to pull out of the Iran nuclear accords to stop them from having nuclear weapons. It is something that almost directly, obviously, will lead us down a path where they end up with nukes. That is the obvious result of it. If you have looked into what the Iran nuclear accords actually produced, which is cutting out far more than 90% of all the highly enriched uranium that they have, cutting out almost all of their centrifuges, especially the newer ones that are capable of producing weapons grade uranium. The idea that shredding that produces a less weapons capable Iran makes no sense to anyone who knows anything about nuclear weapons or nuclear weapon development.
Also, this whole story just really points to the cognitive dissonance of those who support Trump and his efforts in North Korea, yet think that the Iran nuclear deal was a terrible one. As you guys know, the Iran nuclear deal was very specific. It had a very specific timetable. It had very specific verification, and it essentially gave the United States and all these other world leaders what they wanted. Now, there was no discussion about dismantling their missiles programs. That was not part of the discussion. That's something that was brought up by Trump and the naysayers later. This was all about ensuring that Iran didn't create a nuclear weapon. That was the whole point. And then all of a sudden, oh, well, you know what? We want them to also stop building these weapons, and we want them to stop funding these, terrorist organizations throughout the world. Those are lofty goals, and I understand the reasoning behind it. But for the purposes of nuclear war and preventing the development of nuclear weapons, this was a great deal, and it was certainly much more specific and detailed than the agreement or statement that was signed by Trump and Kim Jong-un. Now, I hope that further negotiations with Kim Jong-un will lead to a more detailed agreement. But people want to applaud Trump for what he just did with North Korea, while also applauding him for doing something that could potentially lead to nuclear development in Iran.
Yeah, if we are lucky, after many meetings and probably years of diplomacy between the US and North Korea, if we are lucky, what we will get is something like the Iran nuclear accords, but for North Korea.
Right.
If we're lucky, we will have officials from the Atomic Energy Agency going around and looking at their facilities and mapping out all of their capabilities and verifying it. Even the Trump administration going throughout Iran and verifying that they are in compliance with the deal. If we are lucky, we will end up with that same thing in North Korea. And at that point, Sean Hannity will applaud, while of course having attacked the Iran version of it this entire time.
Yeah.
We live in a ridiculous world where nothing is true and nothing matters.
Yeah, I feel that stress every day.
Those things that are true, that's how an insular world works. So you have one president who, by the way, it's also not talked about how there was multiple countries involved with the Iran deal. If you just talk to any random American who's listening to what the president says, you would think this is an America and Iran deal that Obama came and just put into place and gave away the house to. No one talks about how these other countries were involved, first of all. But then where is the one-on-one thing that happened a couple days ago or day or two ago with Kim Jong-un was just two guys talking, and then suddenly none of the details are there, but he can say, we'll have people in there, trust me, or it'll come together, trust me. And that lack of details, you believe the one strongman who's saying all that, and also believe him in saying that the deal that had details to it had nothing to it. It's just you devoid yourself of all fact and follow just with what the guy says.
It's the power of messaging, and Trump has really mastered that skill. I mean, he lies, and his lies, they don't even go unchecked. I mean, you will have fact checkers proving that what he's saying is just an outright lie, and somehow his messaging is so powerful that it'll overcome that fact checking.
He tweeted that 500 days ago we were at the brink of war with North Korea. Were we? Do you remember that? And 500 days ago? Were we about to go to war with North Korea? No, the only time that there has been actual fear that something could develop was in response to his tweets against North Korea, which was not 500 days ago. It was during his first year of the presidency. And it's amazing. 500 days ago, we were ready to go to war with East Asia. We were always ready to go to war with East Asia and Eurasia. And whatever the facts need to be for his current thing, please read Orwell. It'll help you understand Donald Trump's administration much better.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to his followers one bit that there is no truth to it.
Yeah. Well, his strategy is to set expectations low.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what happened. You scare everyone with potential nuclear war with North Korea, and the second he does something a little diplomatic, everyone, by the way, across the political spectrum is like, give him a cookie. But again,
we'll give him the cookie.
I give him the cookie for a diplomatic approach, but you got to hold his feet to the fire and ensure that he does what's necessary to denuclearize North Korea.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.